Well, I'm at Rock this morning, and this is the ferry across to Padstow. Don't think we'll be taking that because we're going to have a nice lunch at Paul Ainsworth's restaurant. Well, actually, I like the look of this subject behind me. We've got the lovely building there, the boats, the tide. It's just going out, I think, but it's a nice scene. Well, booked a table at the Mariners, which is Paul Ainsworth's Michelin star. Well, there's the view. Going to make a quick pencil sketch and then proceed with the watercolour. Well, hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This week I'm visiting Cornwall again, and I'm looking at painting a lovely estuary scene on the mouth of the Camel estuary. It's rock from the opposite side of the estuary to Padstow, and when I was down there I did a lovely little pencil sketch just in case I didn't have time to paint while I was there. This particular subject, and that was the case. We went for a lunch at the Mariners, which is Paul Ainsworth restaurant at Rock, and had a lovely lunch there, and but decided to put a little pencil sketch down. I've got some ideas for this one. I'm really looking at a dark sky. It's the actual rock sailing and water skiing building where they store all their stuff and set out from, and it's on a bit of a pier, but to me it made a lovely subject. Got some boats in the foreground, a few just moored up in the estuary. It's the Camel estuary, and so I thought, yeah, I fancy putting this one down this morning. So what I'm going to do, I've got 1 or 2 ideas about the lighting, because to me, as you know, it's the light that really is the key to my paintings. It's capturing the moment, the light, and it was a dull day, but I can still recall certain aspects that I liked about this subject, and that's the good thing about putting down a sketch while you're there. You do tend to be able to recall the day better because you've actually sat there and drawn it. So that's what we're doing this week, and I hope you enjoy watching. Well, here we go then. I've got my drawing down, put down with just a basic pencil, the main building and the small little pier that actually stands out, a couple of main boats. I love this distant land, and we're going to try and bring some drama to this, try and get some shimmer on the water, because that's what I saw on the day really. I'm going to use my 3 main brushes again, the large Pro Art mop that actually points when wet, the slightly smaller pointed mop that's a synthetic brush, that's a Dale Rowney, and my rigger. So here we go then. Now I'm not going to actually damp the area of sky. I'm going straight in with the Payne's grey. It's my normal setup, but it's not very often I use Payne's grey, as you're probably aware. Probably not seen me use that very often, but I want that to produce my cloud. Payne's grey, if it's the artist quality, professional quality, Winsor & Newton Payne's grey, then if you notice it's got slightly bluey tint to it, and that's the thing that I like about it. If you're using any other Payne's grey, you will need to add blue to that, just a touch of cobalt or ultramarine, and I'm going to create a lovely cloud there, fairly dark, going onto dry paper as you can see, but it's with this lovely mop brush. Going to add a little more water to the brush because I want to get soft edges in places, hard edges in others. There we go, look at that. Isn't that lovely, working onto paper that's dry? Right, now I'm thoroughly cleaning the brush, and now I'm going to use cobalt blue, just straight cobalt blue for the bluer tints to the lower part of the sky, there, like that, and into there. That's lovely. Just going to sweep that away in that beach area just to give a bit of reflection. Right, now I'm cleaning the brush thoroughly, and I'm going to use cadmium red with a touch of cadmium yellow, and I'm coming in this side now and sweeping across the sky at that particular point and just pulling over that blue area, pulling into it. Look at that, love it. There we go, lovely. That is lovely, just right. Then I'm going to use just pure cadmium yellow just to make that a little brighter, that side. There we go. Then a little bit more yellow, and this is going to be swept. It's what some artist classes, I've heard the term, James Fletcher Watson uses the term quite often, Henry Wesson used to use the term, you're laying the soup on. But not sure whether that's quite what I'd call it, but anyway, I'm laying the soup on. That really is, I suppose, the term for the underpainting. Right, now the water is going to reflect a bit of that sky, so I'm trying to get shimmer on that water. I've added a little blue to that, but not too much. I'm looking to get that shimmer and shine, particularly where the water meets the beach. There. And then in the foreground, where the water does meet the beach, I'm going to use burnt umber with a little cad red. Burnt umber and cadmium red, and that will go in a shimmery form, if that's a term, like that, to show the shingle and where the beach meets the water. And there is some damp areas, so I'm trying to leave some blue. Nice bit of perspective on that too. A little bit more there. Brilliant. Now we're just going to sit back and allow that to dry. Now that's pretty much dry, so now I can actually start putting the background in, and I'm going to use the Payne's grey again, and I'm going to put a little bit of ultramarine with that. So it's Payne's grey ultramarine this time with raw sienna. Could use burnt yellow ochre if you wish, but I'm going in with the raw sienna. And I'm going to paint in distant land like that, fairly dark, not too light in this case, because that's the sort of day it was really. And I'm going to continue that over the back edge of the building there, because that will help to to continue that, lift that up just a touch and don't want that to drop down. There you go. It's the good thing about using these large brushes. You know, you can get a nice sweep of colour. No boat standing up there, a couple of things on the jetty there, and just come down the side of the building. Nothing too neat. Let's not get too bogged down with that. And then I'm going to use more ultramarine to get more of a silhouette effect with a little bit of cadmium yellow and a bit more Payne's grey. Cadmium yellow, Payne's grey, ultramarine. And that is going to sweep in like that. And there is another piece of land that comes across there, which I'm going to introduce at this point, just to give a separation. There we are. Just about see the difference between those two areas, coming right down to the water line, which is somewhere about there. Try and keep that straight, or fairly straight anyway. There you go. And now we've got a distant sort of little bit of a hill there that just goes in like that. There we go. And of course, now that's in, I can go in with ultramarine and Indian red. Ultramarine, Indian red, little bit of cad yellow, give me a brown feel to the hedging and trees along the edge of the waterline there, and that will give me a lovely sort of distant hazy feel. That was that type of day. It wasn't bright at all, but we did have light. This is the key to it. There was light of some sort, but it wasn't particularly strong light. So a little bit stronger now, a little bit darker mix into that area there. Just one or two little darker touches. A bit more red gone in too, because just want to show a little bit of that lighter glow onto that area, and that just finishes there nicely. There we go. And while it's still damp, it all blurs and gives a lovely film of darkness against what will be the shimmering light onto the water, really. Now I'm going in with more blue now, and slightly weaker. Just take a bit off the brush, because there was just a little bit of darker wooded area, something going on there. Nice to have a bit of interest in the background, although I don't want it to get too complicated. And we do have a similar thing here going on in the background, so we'll continue with that down to the pier area, really. One, two things going on there, so we'll indicate that. And really that's pretty much the background put in. Sweep a bit more of that onto there, just to give that a bit of a highlight as it comes across that very light area in the distance, but nothing too fussy there again. While it's still damp, we can do that, and that there again needs to be allowed to dry. But while we have this on our brush, I'm going to use it to indicate a little bit of darker area sweeping across this foreground. So I'm actually putting this on while it's, so really I'm going in with the darker foreground shadow fairly early, because I want to get the feeling of light, and the only way to do that is to go dark early on. That's my feeling of this one anyway. There we go. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, let's analyse what we've got. Well, there's the view. Going to make a quick pencil sketch and then proceed with the watercolour. Now I'm going in with Indian red and Payne's grey. Very, very strong mix, or quite strong anyway. And the Indian red is actually quite, just check that corner, there you go. Quite a strong mix of Indian red. And I'm going to paint around the windows, if I can, with the point of this brush, if it sort of plays, if it doesn't cause me any major problems. And also I'm going to leave, if I can, the mast of that boat, look at that, because that is light against that dark background. There's another window there, so let's try and pick that up as well, because I want the light shining back from that water onto the window frames. And as I say, always, if you can, use a large brush for these washes, because they are just washes of colour that and the clean washes of colour that make all the difference. They really, really do. If you can get that, there we go, look at that mast standing out clearly. Just need to load the brush a touch more, because there's a window there that stands nicely, and there is another window. Let me have a look. No, there isn't. That's the only window there. Oh, well, there you go. That's easy enough. And then we come down. Now, I hope that's dry. Should be dry, because I'm going in with a damp brush. Is there going to be any bleed of colour? There probably is a touch. Do you know, I'm not too worried about that either. I should be, but I'm not. Right, there you go. And then there's railings there. And I'm going to try and show that by just a little bit of indication of the uprights. Like that. And then we have the cross section. Like that. Look at that. Isn't that terrific? I love it. Love the way that edge is blurring. I like that. I'm not unhappy with that. Then, of course, we've got some supporting pillars. I'm not going to do too far. It's quite tricky work, this, particularly with a large brush. But as I said at the beginning, large brush is the answer if you can get it to work. Really is the answer to creating these lovely, fresh, clean washes of colour. There we go. Now there are some uprights on that, but I'm not going to worry too much about that at this stage. Right, now the boat comes down to there, then we've got a little bit of that there. Now you can just see the bottom of that area under there. Here's a bit of a cabin. That's it. And then we just continue along here. We've got another sail there that's wrapped around a mast. All the time we're aware that there's the light coming from the back. And if we can get that a little bit uneven on the top of that line there, all done with this large brush. And that's the thing that I like about painting with a large brush like this. Can actually get right. Now we can sweep this down in a bit more broader brush strokes down as far as the waterline. So we're picked around the main part of the boats, just a dark area there, and then the mast is left white. And then that comes like that. Those boats are fairly dark, but try and pick up the frontage of that because the water was out, tide was out, so that's the way I saw it on the day, really. Just pick up those corners, and then with this brush we then have these railings again. That's all dry now. Just see what we can pick up. There we go. Look at that. You see the light coming behind those railings. Really just bang them in fairly, not too neat. Don't want them too neat. Main thing is the gaps between them is not so much the railings themselves, just leaving the gaps between the railings that really is the key to this one. Gives it a nice feel of light. That's what we're looking for, light coming from behind those railings. And then just before that dries, I'm just running down a little tighter down there, so as we've got a tight edge there, fairly tight. There we go. And I'm coming right out onto there and coming down there like that. There we go. Brilliant. Let's allow that to dry. Now I'm going to use the slightly smaller mop now. Now I'll put in the bulk of the larger washers. So I've damped up that brush. Now for the frontage where the light is hitting, I'm using cadmium red with Indian red. And I'm just knocking that back with a touch of the raw sienna, because it is brick, but just going to put a little bit of blue with that. Just there we are. That's what I'm looking for. A little bit of blue with all of that. And then I'm going to use the maul stick just to support my hand, because it's in an upright position, this painting. And down I go with the sunlit side. I'm going to paint right the way down, trying to get a real contrast between the sunlit side and the shadow side. And now I can go right the way behind those railings, so it looks as if the building continues behind those railings. There you go. And there is just a little bit of a part there, might as well fill that in. Yeah, that's looking good. That's balanced nicely. Now I'm adding a little cobalt blue to that for the roof area, and that initially will be quite light with the sun catching that. Really is quite a light area. And it's got a little bit of depth to it. Then it comes off at an angle like that and back down. It's a funny shaped roof, but that's the way they built them in those days. Don't know exactly the age of the building, but obviously it has a little bit of age to it. There we go. And then of course the shadow side, we're adding more blue, and I'm just picking up a bit of the grey that we use for the shadow side of the building. So we're going to be quite a bit darker. Let's be a little bit darker than that. There we go. Let's just see how we get on with that. There we are. May need to darken that off even more actually, looking at it, but we'll play that by ear as it pans out. And we come down like that. There is a wooden section there that I've overpainted, which is not, there again, a major problem, because I'm going to add more yellow, more red, a bit more blue to create that sort of wooden section there that is slightly different angle. There we are. And pop that in like that. Get a little bit of an overhang on those ends. There we are. Yep, that pretty much does it, I think, for me. And then I'm adding a little bit more blue now to that mix, because now that's dry, I think it's dry, perhaps it isn't, and what I'm going to do with this colour, I'm going into the boat there, got a bit of a blue tint to that, but trying to pick up there again the sunlight on the top rim and down the front edge, the bow of the boat there. That's it. And then I'm going to clean the brush, and I'm using cobalt blue now for this boat. There again, leaving the top edge, and this is going to be quite light. So I'm contrasting. It's very tonal, this picture. It's far from being a colour picture. It's a bit more tonal, really, I suppose. Now the sail that's rolled up, I'm going to use cadmium red with a touch of the blue to create that sail that's rolled up on the boom there, or whatever it's called, leaving a bit of edge at the top unpainted. There we are. So let's give that splash of colour. And the other one, I'm going to give that a splash of the yellows into it, just to get a bit of light on it. There we are. So that's that. Here we are. So we're getting some lights and some darks going in there to give that real tone. Now I'm going to use ultramarine for the windows, and there's a large door there, so let's just try and get that to go in. A little bit brilliant. Let's take a bit off the brush. There you go. How many windows have we got? Oh right, we've got one there, one there, do another one there, May have something there, I think. Put something there. Not too sure. And we've also got some windows in the roof. These Velux windows, 1, 2, 3. They're gone in. Yeah, we'll improve on that shortly. Now, very dark, and that means I'm going to use Payne's Grey again. Don't want to come away from Payne's Grey too much, because that's the basis of this picture, really, tonal sort of feel. And I'm going to put in, there's a little area of shadow under there. That comes along to there, because there's a gantry, you see there. And then I'm going to use this to show up sections within. They slanted, these supporting beams and pieces of the pier, like a support really, I suppose. Not too worried about the spacings. You know, these types of detail, as you probably are aware, are not sort of my major concern. A little bit dark around the bottom edge, and then there's a bit of a cross section there before we get up to the back edge of that, and filling in the back edge of that there. And then we're going to have an extra shadow under there and some extra shadow. Oh, tell you what, I'm going to pick up a strong shadow there. Look at that. There you go. Extra bit of shadow there. And that just comes out there. Touch of shadow work there and there. Just bring in 1 or 2 bits of light onto that. And actually, in actual fact, I want that to be sharp edged in the end. So I'm going to hint at a little bit of brickwork or stonework, because this is a stone building. So I'm going to use this darker tone. It will dry considerably lighter. This is the thing with this watercolour business. Got to be aware of that, but it, yeah, I rather like that. Yes, give it a real punch. Good, that seems to be working quite well. I like the idea of that strong light on that building. That's what I'm trying to achieve, and I think that's working quite well. Now I'm going to give the gantry area, it's got light on it, but underneath is strong shadow, like that. There you go. Perfect. We'll elaborate on those windows shortly. In the meantime, a little darker tone, so a little bit more Payne's Grey for got this boat here that's, it's one of those speedboat sort of, I suppose what it is, it's to do with the sailing club. So that's like a supporting boat, and also using this dark colour, does have a line where it meets the water there. Perfect. Couple of motors, and this one has a line where it meets the water there. and this one does too, like that. Here we go. Lovely. Little bit of indication of, oh, is it like a bit on the back there, like a rud of a fair. The back, which I'll put in. Also this boat there with its mast. There's another little boat there of some sort. They're in silhouette, you see. So consequently, we can't indicate any real colour on those. Notice how simply I'm trying to paint these in. Brilliant. Let's allow that to dry. Just want to finish the windows off because they will have shadow down the left hand sides, but obviously you can see, or that door entrance will have a considerable shadow. Same there, and see how they then stand out against the wall of that area. And then in actual fact I'm going to try and get away without putting any of the using the rigger on this, which is quite an achievement, I think, using the small brush. There we are. And oh, there's a boat there of some sort, and that has got a sail like that. One or two little bits and bobs going on behind those railings, and I'm just going to darken up those railings in places. Interest without any detail. There you go. Lovely. Excellent stuff. Going to darken this bit off too, funny enough. That's it. Yep, that's looking good. Bit of greying to this boat because we can see a little bit of the lighter, it's probably white actually, so it goes in a little darker. Good. There's not much more to be done. Now right at the end of this one, just before I take the surround away, I'm going to give this some subtle shadow. It's more atmospheric shadow. That's my way of looking at this, and I'm going to cast an atmospheric shadow across there and down there. And I'm using Payne's grey with a little raw sienna in there. So that's all I'm doing, and it gives a very dull, almost an atmospheric sort of look to the whole thing. That's in shadow, that's in reflection. There's some reflection there, a little bit of reflection there. There we go, a little bit of reflection to that. A little bit of reflection to the side, to the mast, like that. Yeah, lovely flow to that. That's what I'm looking for. Subtle shadows now. Nothing too brilliant. Just to accompany the feeling of light coming from behind, almost out of picture to the right here, really. And occasionally you'll see a little bit of the, just got to put the mast in on that one. But a nice bit of light. Notice I'm trying to be a bit more Payne's grey now. not lifting off the underpainting, which is so easily done when you're doing these type of washers. There we go. Yeah, I'm pretty much happy with that. I'm just going to streak some blue in here, because I can see blue in the sky, and we have got a little subtle rippling in the water in this foreground, just sort of indicates a bit of the sky in there. There we go. But apart from that, I think we're getting there. Now, I did promise that I'd put in the mast, which that mast is light against the dark, but this is going to be dark against the light. There we are. Yeah, I think we can safely say that's sufficient. What we're looking for, a little bit wide, but we're not too concerned with that. And just some little touches of dark on the around those cabin areas, little windows in the cabins you sometimes get. Oh, and there's obviously the odd reflection, because there is a bit of water there on the beach. For that, a little darker just underneath that boat there, and underneath that one there, but nothing too dark. You know, if you go too dark, you lose the film of light. That's my assumption of this one. And we can just put a little bit of indication of a lot of these small lines, decorative lines, I presume they are, around there. That's okay. And then something very dark and red on this one, right down the front there, and a line goes in there like that. Perfect. Right, now before we start to get too fussy with this, I think I ought to take the surround away and see what we've got. Well, just before I pull away and show you, I've taken the surround away, but just before I finish completely, I've got those final little finishing touches that, as you probably know, I like to put in. So we're going to just take the white off of those windows like that. That's that. Just give them just a little bit of colour. I'm going to put in some gulls in the sky that we obviously would see in a environment of this sort. Make that just a little bit larger, because they come a bit big in rock, these gulls. And going to have another small one there, just within the land, just heading down, and another little one there. There we go. I think that's sufficient for the gulls, and may have a couple just sort of on the beach that perhaps may be just about to take off, perhaps, or whatever. Yeah, that seems to do the trick like that. Good, so that's all good. And signing up, what else did I want? I want to do something else to that bottom there. I also want to do some bit of something to that top, just to finish that top off there. Bit down the back edge of those. Not really dark enough, but that's fine. Yeah. Good. Okay then. Well, signing up. Well, I'm going to sign up bottom right hand corner of this one. Sorry, bottom left hand. Yeah, that's nice and dry. No, bottom right hand. That's where I elected. So I'm signing obviously in the paint that I've used. Yeah, pretty much happy with that. Just put a little bit more to the back of that boat there. Good. A little bit of shadow work on that area there, just to give it a little hint of something going on. It's all delicate sort of work, but just final finishing touches. Good. Let me just pull back and show you the complete picture. Well, I've just pulled away so you can see the complete picture with its surround taken off, and gives it a nice sharp edge. So there you have it. That's my interpretation really of what I saw on the day in the lovely coastal village of Rock in Cornwall here in the UK. It was taken from a pencil sketch that I did on site, and as you can see, it's a bit of a cloudy sky, but we've got the light coming from the left. I remember sitting in the Mariners, having lunch, looking across to the water, and I could see the shimmer, the shine that the water had that day, and that's really what I tried to capture. Well, there you have it. The old Rock Sailing and Water Skiing Club, just standing out onto the Camel estuary down in Cornwall, and really enjoyed painting this one. It's something a bit different. I tried to get atmosphere that I saw on the day, and yeah. Now, it was actually taken from a pencil sketch that I did on the day. So I would suggest that, you know, if you are unable to paint, at least just get a little pencil sketch, anything, just to record the day. And then when you get back home, or if you do have a studio area, you can then put that down with memory of the day, because you was there, you was drawing it. And simple mixers. Well, I hope you've enjoyed watching that, and if you have, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and we'll see you all again very soon. Thank you very much, and happy painting.